Okay, so here I'm going to go through all the runes and how they work on Fiddle and which types of sets are good for Fiddle, in my opinion. And this is just for jungle Fiddlesticks, and we're going to ignore the Fiddlesticks for now and just go with the AP build. So all four of these are pretty bad. I would kind of just ignore them. Conqueror could work, but it takes too long to stack. In terms of secondary runes, I would never really go into this tree, but if you do, Triumph is okay. These other two aren't very good in them. Um, Blackardy's bad. Tenacity could be good if the enemy team has a lot of CC, but again, I think there's better choices. Bloodline is useless. That's only for lifesteal for auto attacks. And all three of these are okay, but I think there's better options. But if you did go this secondary, all three of these are viable depending on who you're playing against. Cut down could be good against a lot of tanks, but I'd largely ignore this tree. So let's go to Domination. So all three of these are going to be viable. Electrocute, Predator, Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest and Electrocute having the same play style. It's just you think you're going to get a lot of stacks early on Dark Harvest because Electrocute's always going to do more damage than Dark Harvest. But it gets closer, the more chaotic the game is, and the more stacks you can get on Dark Harvest. And also in team fights, if you can get Dark Harvest to proc multiple times, it could be better. So really between Electrocute, Dark Harvest is just preference at that point. Electrocute's going to be better for single target burst. Dark Harvest better for team fighting. So while looking at these two, I would never go Taste the Blood out of the jungle. It's just not good compared to these other two, which are both just straight damage. Deciding between Cheap Shot and Sudden Impact, I would leave that one up to what's your mythic choices. If you're going Rocket Belt, then the Sudden Impact's going to be very good because magic penetration's better the more of it you have. And also the Rocket Belt dash will proc Sudden Impact, so you can get it going more often. Whereas Cheap Shot's always going to be solid, it's always going to hit. But it's not as good if you're. I mean, it's always going to be just as good, whereas Sudden Impact's better the more magic pen you have. So if you're going Rocket Belt, go Sudden Impact. If you're not going Rocket Belt, go Cheap Shot. So Zombie Ward and Eyeball Collection, all three of these kind of stack at the same rate, basically. Like each of them you can get stacked around the same time. Now Ghost Pearl you can definitely get stacked faster if you have other runes that go with it. So like if you want to go Ghost Pearl, that would be if you're going a low effigy cooldown build. So I would only go Ghost Pearl if you're going Ingenious Hunter and the Cosmic Insight, because both of these will lower the cooldown of your effigies. And when your effigy runs out of duration, it will spawn a Ghost Pearl. So you can really get those Ghost Pearls stacking quickly if you go Cosmic plus Ingenious, which I do prefer. But if you're not, if you want to go Ultimate Hunter, which in this tree it's really between Ingenious Hunter and Ultimate Hunter, most people prefer Ultimate Hunter for the obvious reason you can really get a lot of ults off with it, obviously. But the drawback that I have whenever I go Ultimate Hunter is the Zonia's cooldown is very long and not synced up with the Ultimate Hunter. So the ult is like half the cooldown of Zonia's. So you'll have a lot of fights where you don't have your Zonias up, so you can't ult as aggressively as you would like to, and you gotta watch out for your Zonias. Whereas if you go Ingenious, your ult's gonna be a little longer cooldown, but you will have shorter cooldowns than your Zonias, Rocket Belt. If you're on Predator, you'll have a shorter cooldown on Predator. You'll also have shorter cooldown on the Rocket Belt. So Ingenious Hunter is the more utility play. It makes the build more balanced, I think, whereas Ultimate Hunter's, more of a snowbally pick because you can really snowball by spamming your ults if you're ahead. Whereas Ingenious Hunter, your fights will be more consistent. You'll always have your Rocket Belt and Zonia's up, you'll have more vision down. So it's just preference on between these two. I wouldn't go Relentless or Ravenous. Ravenous is basically just more HP because that's what Lifesteal is, or Spell Omnivamp just gives you more health, but you'd rather have movement speed or damage or utility, which these three give. But for me, Relentless Hunter doesn't. It's good, but it's not to the same tier as the Ultimate Hunter and Ingenious Hunter. So in this line, I would decide between these two. And back to here, so Ghost Poro if you're going Ingenious. Now between Zombie Ward and Eyeball Collection, Zombie Ward's not going to be great on Fiddle because you can't get. Every time you place a zombie ward, it's going to be because you have a pink word there or an effigy there, so you're going to be like double warding yourself. Now, it's not bad because you do stack it fairly quickly, like just about as quickly as Eyeball Collection, so really like these two are going to stack similarly depending on if you're fighting more or clearing more wards. So Eyeball Collection is going to be better if you guys are winning early. Zombie Ward's going to be better if you're playing, on the back foot, because then you're going to have a lot of wards to clear, so you're going to get to stack quicker that way, but so not, these don't change that much. The only one that really changes your playstyle would be the Ghost Poro. In Sorcery, all three of these runes are not great on Fiddle. They're okay, but I don't think they're at the same level as the other two we went with, or the other three from the Domination. I would mostly just go Sorcery as a secondary if you want a lot of movement speed. There's a lot of movement speed in this tree. I personally don't feel like it's that necessary, though, if I already have a Rocket Belt to get me in. But the options in here would be Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, and Water Walking. The other ones are okay, but not great. Transcendence could be okay. Absolute Focus could be okay. Like, all these runes are just kind of okay. None of these are really great for Fiddle, but they're all fine. In the Resolve tree. So this tree is going to be a whole different play style, really. If you want to go Aftershock, Aftershock Fiddle can exist in a game where you don't want to build Zonias. So the way that the Aftershock build will work is you'll need to build a lot of HP and AP, and you'll be like a Bruiser Fiddle. And you're not going to be building Zonias. But that's only going to be good if the enemy team doesn't have knockbacks and knock you out when you ult in. So I'll go over this build in a bit, but just keep in mind, Aftershock you're going to be playing a different playstyle with this. You're going to be looking for like Rylai's and Demonic Embrace. It's a beefy Sticks. And then Inspiration. This one has a lot of potential. Unsealed Spellbook could be very good if you use it well, very hard to use well, so I wouldn't just pick it and expect it to be good. You have to know when to swap to which rune. It's very hard to use effectively, but it can be very good if used well. But the main thing about this page is it has the best secondary runes. So if you go Unsealed, you can go all three of these secondary runes, which are really good. Perfect Timing is very good on Fiddle. Futures Market is very good on Fiddle. Cosmic Insight is very good on Fiddle. All three of these are really good for Fiddlesticks. So that's the positive of going the Spellbook, is you can get all three instead of having to pick two of the three. I think these are the three best secondary runes. Maybe Ultimate Hunter, but could be up there too, but I think Ingenious Hunter plus Cosmic Insight makes his effigy cooldown being so short is a crazy combo. So I'll go through some pages I made. Here's the one that I am liking right now, the Predator one. So you run the Predator with the Sudden Impact or Cheap Shot. So this depends on your mythic. If you're going Rocket Belt, go the Sudden Impact. I like the Ghost Poro because I have Ingenious Hunter and Cosmic Insight, so the effigy cooldown is very short. You get a lot of Ghost Poros out. You can stack this extremely quickly. You get a ton of vision. And you get Futures Market. So the good thing about Futures Market with Predator is you can full clear, recall, and full buy Sork Shoes. And then you're 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes in with Sork Shoes with Predator on them, level 4, and you can make some big ganks and really try to snowball like that. A lot of pressure. The people don't expect that early. Because at that point, no one else in the game has boots, and you have Predator tier 2 boots. So you're way ahead with the Futures Market plus Predator. Let's look at another page. This one's a very standard page. This is what you're going to be seeing most people do. Electrocute. Again, this one's depending. Eyeball is fine. Zombie Word is fine. Ultimate Hunter is always solid. Perfect Timing Cosmic. I forgot to mention. Always go Magic Resist. Fiddlesticks doesn't have issues with health in the jungle. You know, he stays full HP, so Yara versus Magic Resist is more so going to be a PvP decision. So, Fiddlesticks is going to have a lot more armor than Magic Resist, so already Magic Resist is going to be more useful because you start with more armor, you get more armor throughout the game, and you build a Zonius, where generally you're not building Magic Resist. So the flat Magic Resist is going to be much better than the flat armor. And also, it gives 8 Magic Resist instead of 6 armor. So even the numbers are higher, so I would always go Magic Resist unless the enemy team is full AD. You can switch to armor, obviously, but in almost all cases, you're going to want to go Magic Resist down here. But this is a very standard page. Here's one if you want to, I don't know, go really fast. This is kind of a weird one. Predator, you got a Relentless Hunter, Nimbus Cloak Water Walking. You could also sub one of those out for Celerity. I wouldn't go this one, but if you want to just run fast, that one works, I guess. I'll get to this Aftershock one last. The Spellbook, I went over it. You get all 3 of these runes, plus you still get the Cosmic plus Ingenious plus Ghost Poro. This is like the trifecta of vision, so much vision with these 3. But you also get Perfect Time plus Futures Market, so you get a lot of, you get very ahead in your build. You save gold from not having to build this. You can get ahead with the Futures Market. This is just a very interesting rune page that I think is very viable if played well. And so the Aftershock one is also an interesting one. So I was doing this at the start of the season, and you can go Aftershock if you aren't building Zonias. So you'll want to do this with a Bruiser build. I can pull up some items that you'd want to do, but so in here, all 3 of these are fine. Like, honestly, all these secondaries aren't very good on Fiddle. The main thing you're looking for is the Aftershock, so that when you ult in, you're not going to get bursted out. You want to live for the initial duration, you know, so that you can stick to them, even if they're not getting feared. So it's more of an in-your-face Fiddle. You don't have to be too sneaky about it. I mean, you'd obviously still like to get the fears, but the main thing is going to be that you're just kind of a big bruiser. So think of yourself like a Mordekaiser kind of, but AoE, and just like in their face, very tanky AP damage. So some items to go with this bruiser build. Let's see. You can go Demonic Embrace is good, Rocket Belt is good, Night Harvester is good. So really you're going to want to click on this and look ability power, and you want to look for health. Where is it? Here we go. So here's all the ability power and health items. Cosmic Drive is very good. Demonic Embrace. So basically, I want to go Demonic Embrace, Rocket Belt or Night Harvester, Cosmic Drive, Rylai's, Morello. You still want to go Sork Shoes. Sork Shoes is very good on Fiddle. He loves the Magic Pen for the damage. But yeah, basically, you're just running into there and just kind of, reaping havoc on the team. So there's all the runes in my breakdown. Yeah, let me know if I missed anything. Okay, thanks for watching.